comes from Gertrude Stein. So there's two Oakland authors to look at. If you're an Oakland author, and you're like, what did they say about Oakland? And I was applying for a grant to do a storytelling project, much like one of the characters in the book. And so I was looking into what other famous Oakland authors said about Oakland. And Jack London doesn't say much about Oakland, even though he has a deep connection to Oakland Public Libraries, and that he's the beginning of his reading path began at Oakland Public Libraries. He doesn't write about it. He's just like in biographies about him. And he writes about the wild and not about, an urban experience of Oakland or even San Francisco, because it was barely urban. It was barely urban at that point. Gertrude Stein, the only thing she writes about Oakland in everybody's autobiography is basically that she doesn't want to write about Oakland. And so when the character says, "What about Oakland?" she says, "There is no there there." And she's talking about how the place in her memory was developed over to such an extent that she can't recognize. And so I read this as somebody running a grant to get some money from the city of Oakland to do a storytelling project, not knowing Gertrude Stein at all, just hearing through a native lens this idea that there is no there there, about a place that has changed so much it's no longer recognizable. And like as a native person, not only have we been moved and removed, and have had to, change our relationship to land and what the name for our lands in the country. This idea, the locality of there, and there no longer being there. Immediately when I heard her talking about it in her sort of modernist, echoistic prose that she's famous for, like she does like very weird sound experiments with prose that makes her, in my opinion, a little bit unreadable. But what I heard it, the lens I heard it through, I immediately knew the title for the book was in there somewhere. And it took me like 2 years to land on there. Initially I had it saved in, I do everything in Google Docs. And I had all of my writing saved as there is no there, that very clunky title.
We're told as writers, don't start your sentence with the there is or the there are. Just throw it out those two things, right? Get rid of your passive. But he puts those in, Mr. Rebellion. There is, there are, and it's good. It's almost like a fun little play that he's doing there.
As a child, feeling your very German sounding parents are making you feel very different from everybody in school. That's like a mortifying experience. That's a really when you get older, that's a really shameful place to go to. And I had the same experience because my dad he came to school to present in November when everybody starts thinking about Native people. It's the Heritage Month, and Thanksgiving is like legit a time that people actually think about Native people, because it's built into this narrative that this country was founded on people fleeing religious persecution, and Native people helped them figure out their food situation, and there was this nice meal, and we like to celebrate that idea that was the beginning of our country, was this nice way that the land was transferred over. But my dad would come and he would present arrowheads and hides, and I'm like, I've never seen those before. I'm at home with my dad, and we're watching basketball in front of the TV. And we lay down in front of the TV together and watch TV. Is one of our things that we do. And he's an engineer at the Livermore. At the Lawrence Berkeley Labs. He's an engineer there, and he speaks Cheyenne at, at dinner, because he's a fluent speaker, and he comes presenting as if somebody told him to be the native person that everyone expects him to be. And it's totally foreign to me, and it's mortifying. And I'm like, what is this? And there's just no other native kids in school. And at that age, you just don't want to be the different one. And that's that's the base thing that's happening. But obviously, it really does a lot to the formation of an identity. I mean, like, you grew up speaking German, and to hear you speak, I can't hear anyone, right? And my dad was saying his second language was Cheyenne, and he only started speaking English when he was 5, when you can't hear it. And this is the power of identity, and what you tell yourself you belong to, and what the culture tells you you belong to, and what you create in your imagination that interacts with the outside world regarding belonging, which is something that comes up in literature and why people read, and why people connect up in culture, and why people create narratives in general.
The language, the missing of the language, whatever that might be, the language of childhood, we have it still inside.